very much, Sanderson. Absolutely lovely to see all of you here. It is, I can't believe it is our 10th anniversary and it's growing year on year. So thank you so much for coming to see us today. I would like to start with a question. What do you think the first woman who became a millionaire entrepreneur looked like? Now, I wish we had the time to get all your answers, but my youngest daughter was at home and she was with two of her friends, and I asked them that question. I said to them, what do you think the first woman who became a millionaire entrepreneur looked like? And the person they described looked pretty much like this lady. They said that she would be blonde, she will have blue eyes, she will wear a suit jacket, and that she will be American. According to the Guinness Book of Records, the first self-made woman millionaire was this lady, Madam C.J. Walker. Now, Mrs. Walker was born in 1867. She was born to two slaves. She became an orphan at the age of 7 and started working as a domestic servant at that age. She got married at the age of 14 and became a mother at the age of 17, only to become a widow a couple of years later when her husband died. Now, Mrs. Walker worked at any job that was available to her. She was working in the cotton fields, she was working as a domestic servant, anything she could do to earn money. And she was earning up to $1 a day, and not every day. Now, due to the bad hygiene condition and the bad nutrition, Mrs. Walker also suffered from hair loss, which was quite common in her community at the time. Now, you wouldn't have thought that would be the background story for the first woman entrepreneur millionaire. Undoubtedly, Mrs. Walker faced that image throughout her life, both metaphorically as well as for real. Definitely from birth, but most likely from the age of 7 when she became orphan. But what was special about Mrs. Walker is that while most people would have seen the lock, Mrs. Walker saw the door. She understood that it was a door, that it can be shut, but it can also be open. She understood that all she needed to do is just open that door a little bit and get her foot through the door for the magic to happen. And that's exactly what Mrs. Walker did. As part of her many jobs, her brother was a hairdresser, so she took some hair products and started selling hair products for him. At the same time, she was experimenting at home, and she discovered that if you mix sulfur with Vaseline, it made her hair grow again. So she was trying it on herself as well as to the other women in her community, and it worked. And it was at that point that she made the incredibly brave decision. You must remember, we're talking about a woman at that time. And she left her job and started her own business. And then within no time, she started to develop a range of hair products. We're talking about a single mum in a racist world with no capital or connections. That was Mrs. Walker's starting point. She was going door to door, trying to offer women to treat them with a hope for free, with a hope that they would buy her products. And it worked. People loved her and loved her products. So her business grown and she was able to recruit more people. She was able to buy a car and drive it. And then later on, she also set up a production plant. And within that, she set up a women's empowerment school. If you can see, some of the ladies are wearing graduation hats that they graduated from the school that she set up. And that was someone who started from these kind of beginnings, with living in these kind of conditions, and that was her home later on in life. And when she was asked, what was it that made you successful? She said, and I quote, "The only thing I did was that I just got up and started doing. It is so simple, but it is so often get overlooked. I just got up and started doing. Now, of course, Mrs. Walker's era is a different era to our world, and without knowing each of your personal story, I'm sure I can say with quite confidence that no one has the background that and had to go through what Mrs. Walker has gone through, and thank goodness for that. But we all face our own shut doors of our era. I know that I certainly have in my journey. Now, do you know that drawer? Do you have that drawer either at home or in the office where you collect pieces of paper and you keep putting it there thinking, I'm going to need it one day. And you never look at it, and years go by. And so I was actually tidying up that drawer the other day. And I didn't need any of the things that were there. But what was interesting, I found a notepad that I was using in 2007 when I was thinking of setting up ACUMEN. And one of the pages was really interesting because that was my closed door, the closed door I was looking at the time. And I know that because it says, why not? Why not to set up the firm? That was the closed door I was looking at. Because you have a good job, that's fair enough. You don't have any money, you kind of need money if you set up a business. It's a saturated market, there's loads of law firms. I've written the next one in capitals, so it makes me think that I thought it was really important. Recession. Those of you who remember 2007, one of the worst recessions of our time. It made me laugh that I had to write a bullet point that I just had a baby and had 2 kids, just in case I forgot. And I must earn a wage. So it wasn't a situation whereby I'm going to try it for a year, see how it goes. If it doesn't work, I'll get a job. I had to earn money during that time. And at the same time, I was diagnosed with a rare form of cancer and was told that I was unlikely to survive. Now, obviously, not comparing to Mrs. Walker's locked doors, if you like. It's a completely different story, but this was my door, my shut door of my era. But what was interesting about this piece of paper is that I could see that at the time, I understood that it was a door and it can be opened, because at the bottom of that page, it also says, why yes? And when you ask why yes, that's when you know that the door can also be open. And in my case, it was to make a difference. My passion was about setting up, at the time, a business specialist law firm. And it was so great, a decade later, this time last year, standing on this stage and announcing the launch of the people firm, ACUMEN People Specialist Law Firm. But at the time, my passion was about setting up a business specialist law firm, commercial lawyers with business acumen, with a unique charging system, a firm that will scrap the hourly rate and, quote, fix fees at the outset for all non-contentious matters. When no one is fighting anyone, someone just needs a legal document. I wanted a law firm that will break away from the aloof culture that is associated with our profession. No secretaries, a law firm with no secretaries. The lawyers will have mobile phones and direct dials. The clients can talk to them directly. And I remember thinking, if I was fortunate enough to make it happen and have people that I can work with, I want a democratically run law firm where I don't care how junior or how senior you are, everyone can contribute to the running of the firm. And in the other page, I wrote, be remarkable, set up a model of business that fulfills the perceived needs of a specific segment of customers in an innovative way. So obviously what was in my mind is making a difference, being remarkable, being innovative. And when the Financial Times listed ACUMEN at the top 50 groundbreaking and innovative law firms in the whole of the UK and Europe, that was a fantastic affirmation to the days where I stood by that shut door of the previous page and was concerned, should I do that? So what is behind your closed door? Because I believe that the key through getting these closed doors, pardon the pun, is threefold. One, understanding that it is a door. It can be shut, but it can also be open. Two, really wanting to get through the door. It's not enough to say, oh, wouldn't it be nice if that happened? We need to really want to get through the door. And last but not least, what Mrs. Walker said, we need to get up and start doing. And often we don't do. I hear many business people, or some business people who say, well, I'm not passionate about anything in particular. I don't have a passion. And I think that's a mistake, a misconception. People think that passion is something that you're born with, or at least as a young adult, you should know exactly what you're passionate about and what you want to pursue. Sometimes it works this way, but more often than not, passion comes from doing. I have no doubt that Mrs. Walker wasn't passionate about hair products when she was working in the cotton fields. She started doing, she started selling it for her brother, she started experimenting at home, she started doing so that it works, and that's when the passion came. And what can happen to a lot of people is we face the shut door and we freeze and we don't do. And not doing is the killer of passion. So we have an amazing day ahead of us. We haven't even started yet. We've got some really inspiring speakers ahead, which I hope we can all take something from. And we have a room with hundreds of business leaders. So maybe today something will happen that will get your closed door ajar. Thank you very much.